Just 40 minutes after the U.S. president announced a pause in strikes and called talks with Iran productive, Israel launched another wave of attacks on Tehran. Surprised? So what exactly is happening between Washington and Tel Aviv? And what does this mean for a conflict that has already claimed over 1,500 lives? Good evening, and welcome back. I'm Andrew Weissman, and this is your update on one of the most rapidly evolving situations in the Middle East right now. On Monday, March 23rd, the Israeli Defense Forces confirmed they had launched a fresh wave of strikes targeting infrastructure across Tehran, just minutes after U.S. President Donald Trump announced what he described as productive negotiations with Iran and extended his deadline on attacking Iranian energy sites by 5 days. Curious, that timing gap, roughly 40 minutes, is raising serious questions about coordination, communication, and just how aligned Washington and Tel Aviv actually are at this moment. If you're new to this channel, now is a great time to subscribe. We cover breaking international developments with a calm, fact-based approach. No sensationalism, just context. Hit that subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss any updates. To understand what changed this time, we need to step back briefly. For weeks, the United States and Israel have been conducting coordinated military operations targeting what they describe as Iranian military infrastructure, including ballistic missile launchers, Revolutionary Guard bases, intelligence sites, and weapons manufacturing facilities. According to the Israeli military, since the beginning of this conflict, approximately 330 of Iran's estimated 470 ballistic missile launchers have been destroyed or rendered inoperable. As a result, missile fire directed at Israel has reportedly fallen from roughly 90 strikes per day at the start of the conflict to around 10 per day in recent days. That's a significant operational shift, and it appears to be influencing how both sides are recalibrating their strategies. On Monday, President Trump took to social media to announce that Washington and Tehran had engaged in what he called very good and productive conversations over the previous 2 days. Critically, he said he had instructed what he referred to as the Department of War to postpone all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day window, conditional on the progress of ongoing talks. That was a notable signal. It suggested a possible diplomatic off-ramp was being explored, at least on the American side. But then, within 40 minutes of that announcement, the IDF posted on X that it had just begun another wave of strikes targeting infrastructure of the Iranian terror regime across Tehran. The contrast was immediate and striking. According to a Monday statement from the Israeli military, the latest strikes targeted a range of military sites, including an Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps Air Defense and Ground Forces headquarters, a Quds Force Base and Intelligence Facility, a Defense Ministry Missile Production Center, and several additional research and manufacturing locations. Al Jazeera Arabic's correspondent reporting from Tehran described the scale of the explosions as unprecedented compared to previous strikes on the Iranian capital. Separately, Iran's Revolutionary Guards stated they had launched a new attack on targets inside Israel, suggesting the exchange of fire remains active on both sides. On the humanitarian front, the U.S.-based human rights activist news agency reported at least 206 attacks across 15 Iranian provinces in a single 24-hour period. Total fatality estimates across the full duration of the conflict now exceed 2,500, with some rights groups placing the figure as high as 3,230 as of March 21st. Reports also indicate that at least 15% of total casualties may be civilians under the age of 18. A figure that is drawing growing international concern. In addition to Iran, Israeli operations continued in Lebanon. Strikes hit Beirut's southern suburbs, the first in several days, targeting what the IDF described as Hezbollah infrastructure. Lebanon's health ministry reported 1 person killed. Now, looking at this from multiple perspectives, an IDF official suggested the military could not comment on the U.S. president's diplomatic announcement, calling it a political echelon matter. The official added that the IDF was operating in accordance with directives from Israel's political leadership and would continue to strike in Iran according to its plans until instructed otherwise. This phrasing is worth paying close attention to. It suggests that from the Israeli military's perspective, the operational tempo has not changed, regardless of what diplomatic signals may be emerging from Washington. Tehran, for its part, has denied that any direct contact with the United States has taken place, directly contradicting Trump's claim of productive conversations. Iran's Revolutionary Guards also confirmed retaliatory strikes on Israeli targets, indicating they have no intention of standing down. Washington, meanwhile, appears to be pursuing what could be described as a dual-track approach, maintaining military pressure while simultaneously seeking a diplomatic opening. Whether the 5-day pause on energy infrastructure strikes represents a genuine shift in strategy or simply a tactical pause for leverage remains unclear at this stage. Looking ahead, the next 5 days could be pivotal. If talks between Washington and Tehran show measurable progress, it's possible, though far from certain, that a broader de-escalation framework could begin to take shape. However, Israel's continued operations, apparently independent of American diplomatic signaling, suggest there may be meaningful gaps in strategic coordination between the two allies. That divergence, if it widens, could complicate any diplomatic process considerably. The situation in Lebanon adds another layer of uncertainty, and calls from within Israel's government for territorial annexation indicate that some political factions may prefer an expanded conflict over a negotiated settlement. What we're witnessing right now is a conflict moving simultaneously in two directions, toward dialogue on one track and toward escalation on another. The 40-minute gap between Trump's diplomatic announcement and Israel's next wave of strikes may, in time, come to represent a defining moment of this conflict, a window in which two allies appeared, at least briefly, to be operating from different strategic playbooks. The coming days of talks will be critical, but as history has often shown us, in the Middle East, the gap between a ceasefire and a crisis can be measured not in weeks, but in minutes. We'll continue to follow this story closely. Thank you for watching, and if you found this breakdown useful, please share it with someone who wants to understand what's actually happening, not just the headlines. Stay informed, stay critical. We'll see you in the next one.